Welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of What's Working on Blank Month. This time we're in February, obviously. My name is Melissa Megginson, and I am the marketing manager here at Tailwind.
And my name is David Christopher, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Growth here at Tailwind.
Yep. And you might notice that it's the two of us.
1, 2.
And so we don't have a guest. I know we promised that there would be one. And
The announcement is, however, that we have a new Tailwind member, a new member on the Tailwind marketing team, and they're going to be looking after our social. They're going to be contributing heavily to the blog, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you right now the fantastic, the wonderful Peg Fitzpatrick.
Hi.
Hi, Peg. How you doing?
Oh, I'm feeling a little flat today.
Yeah, you're looking a little different from how I expected. That's actually not Peg. You might have thought that it was, but it's not. It's Melissa. But the great news is Peg is with our team now, and today she's going to be doing some takeovers of our Instagram channel.
Yeah, so here around, I believe, like 2 p.m. Eastern time, she will be taking over Instagram and posting to the stories and taking your questions, doing Instagram Live. So if, obviously, you know about Peg because she's a rock star. And so any questions that you have for her, what she's doing with the team, how Tailwind works, things like that, just please feel free to reach out to her.
Yeah, and Peg, of course, is co-author of the Secrets of Social Media, the Art of Social Media. Thank you.
Yes.
And right now she can't be with us because unfortunately she's having a chat with the folks at Social Media Marketing World about an upcoming, about the conference which she's going to speak at.
So even though she can't be with us today, she will be with us going forward, and We're really excited about that.
We have been working so closely with her, and I don't know about you, but I'm loving it.
So excited. So although it's just us today, going forward, we do
just us? I don't know. Is that really an appropriate thing to say?
As much as you love us, we know. Going forward, there will actually be 3 people on the marketing team.
3 people, wow. That's too many people. I just can't get my head around it.
So we'll see who survives the elimination round, I guess, if there's too many people.
Okay. It's kind of like a Hunger Games thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Right. Oh gosh, it's going to be me, isn't it? I'm going to die. Anyway,
moving on. So today, of course, we will be talking about Pinterest and what was.
Wait, we're talking about Pinterest? Okay, we are. We're talking about Pinterest.
Not Instagram today. We're just on Pinterest.
Pinterest? And what are we talking about?
What performed in February of last year? Those pins that got all the clicks, all the repins, all the likes, all the attention. And so we're showing you what performed so that you can understand what you should be pinning this month.
Okay.
And we have a blog post, which is in the underneath the title at the top of the video. Unfortunately, we won't have anyone manning the comments today. I will be taking questions to the side, but so please keep them coming. Please talk to us. We will get to them, but it'll be a little bit slower today.
Yeah. So keep those questions coming. Throw them out there in the Facebook live comments, and send us your love your way. Give us your likes, and share your profile as well. If you want to kind of become part of that Tailwind community, let us know who you are so we can go kind of explore you and explore each other. You know what I mean.
And Mike has a comment already that things just got weird. I don't know when that happened, so I guess we're a little bit too weird for Mike.
I've always been weird, Mike. I don't know. Did you just get the memo?
He'll figure it out.
Maybe I've been hiding my weird. Oh, this is going to be really weird. Hello, I'm Peg Fitzpatrick.
Wow, I didn't know you were British or a man.
Well, no, I'm not British or a man. I'm a female American. That's my best American accent.
I'm sure Peg will be very proud.
Oh, gosh, yes. It's going to be embarrassing next time we talk.
Okay, without further ado, done with the weirdness for now. Let's look at our first board.
Okay.
So here we have DIY crafts. One of the biggest categories on Pinterest.
So let me show you how I've started to use these, okay, if I may. I go to the board, and then, oh gosh, I hope this will work. I Command F, and bring that find up. Looks like you're doing it too. And do Jan.
Which,
Takes me down to the January pin.
allegedly.
Why didn't that work?
It was being finicky for me earlier.
Okay.
In theory, this works.
Right. In theory, this works. You do Control Find on the board. It takes you down to the January pin, which is essentially down here. And from there, you can kind of, we got a lot of pins this time.
We do.
So here it is, the January pin. Everything before here is what to pin in January, so you don't need to worry about that so much anymore. And then everything above it is what to pin in February. So as we come down, like this, this is sort of what you should have been pinning like at the end of January.
So yesterday, this is what you should have pinned.
And then we hit that what to pin in January, and we're talking about the beginning of February here, and they're pinned in chronological order. So we're going from back in time towards today. And as we go up, I think there's a real clear sort of delineation here. We just really start seeing these colorful images come in. It's like spring. It's like little shoots of grass sort of poking out of the ground. And honestly, it gets me excited for the spring, for the nice weather. Just a change of mindset, I think we can really see sort of happening here.
Regardless of that stupid groundhog.
Right, yeah. That's an American thing.
It is.
But I have seen the movie.
The movie is nothing like the day.
Oh, really? That's
But
a
if you
shame.
see, like literally there's plants. And I noticed that there were a bunch of planters.
There really are, yeah.
So different ways to grow things.
Mason jars, any kind of
Oh, the
way you
mason
can
jars
plant.
are huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously a trend on Pinterest overall that mason jars are super popular. But I felt like particularly in February of 2016, people were really, really excited about them.
Yeah, but I mean that sort of bringing the outside inside. That sort of there's so much.
Right.
There's so many plants, so many leaves, so many sort of new shoots, as it were, and we're really moving away from the kind of muted colors that we've been seeing for the last couple of months.
And no Valentine's Day stuff.
No, well, I've seen a couple. There's some hot stuff down near the bottom.
Near the bottom?
There it is.
Okay. So there
But
are
not
a few.
much.
There's not much, especially
Why is that?
compared. Well, it's Pinterest. People have already planned out what they're doing, the different things that they're creating. So yeah, there are a couple of perhaps.
So if Pinterest was 80% men, this would be, all last minute. Where to go, how to have a wonderful Valentine's
Hopefully
Day.
they're pinning to secret boards.
Of course we are, yes. We're all pinning to secret boards.
But so instead of seeing Valentine's Day, there's towards the end of the month, people are starting to focus on the bunnies and the Easter eggs and the springy, Eastery things that we know and love in spring.
Right.
Even though it's freezing outside, they're still forward looking.
Right. Do you know what the actual stat is of men to women on Pinterest? Because I just threw that out there without knowing.
The last stat that I saw was, I believe, 30% men.
Okay, right.
And that's in the U.S.
And I
specifically.
am one of them. Anyway.
And all of the dudes on our team,
Right,
obviously.
that's true.
Yeah, so within DIY crafts in February, I think it's really important to pay attention to spring. Like people are forward thinking on Pinterest. So they're going to be planning for Easter, for their spring parties, for creating things to help make their house look a little bit springy, since you do have to do that ahead of time.
Yeah.
And the important keywords that I pulled out for DIY crafts.
I love this bit, by the way.
The
keywords is my favorite bit.
Thanks. The important keywords for DIY and crafts are Easter, planter, plantings, anything within that realm, pattern, wreath, organize, mason jar, flower pot, and tutorial.
I think organize is kind of interesting there too.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely in this sort of spring clean. So we're like starting to really think about that spring clean. I'm looking at my garage and I'm thinking, oh, okay, here it comes.
Okay, I'm going to pop over here and see if we have any questions. So this is a brand new way to go about this. that we haven't done before.
Yeah, we'll be sort of trying to field as well as chat.
Okay, so it's great to see people in there. Please, if you have any questions,
Yeah.
let us know. Hopefully, we will get those comments, and if not, if something goes awry in here, we will answer those questions after the fact.
Yeah, and they don't have to necessarily just be about what to pin in February.
Sure.
It could also just be about Pinterest in general.
Anything you want to ask us. All right, so moving on, go to education. See if your little hack here works. No. I don't know what's wrong with my Pinterest board here.
But we're going to scroll back through time to get to January.
Unless I missed
Keep going. There
it is. Okay, so very beginning of January, there's a little bit of Valentine's.
Right. I see. Yeah, there's another one up there that I love you to pieces.
Mm-hmm. But for children, that planning doesn't have to happen that quickly.
So the big thing I noticed here was this seemed to kind of take a turn, moving January to February, to be even more weighted towards education and less towards kind of more casual learning. Sort of parent-directed learning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, a lot of these are more not traditional boards in school classrooms, things like that. It is much more things that you can do on your own or with your child.
Right. Well, and look at this as well. The organization stuff is coming through to the classroom here. 21 brilliant classroom organization hacks, and the same can be said of the colors as well. Which you wouldn't think that people would be doing this, but you definitely notice as you I do, at least as you move from January through what's pinned in January, what's pinned in February, that those vibrant colors come in. It's the greens and it's the blues.
Yeah, if you come back down here.
Yeah, and it's more muted. And then, up here it just there's just a lot more pop, in my opinion. And that's something I see across all of these boards. I mean, I think that's just something that we have inside of ourselves. We just have this seasonal sort of need to express ourselves in this way, so it will naturally come out for folks. But if you're not thinking like that, if you're not thinking about slightly changing your palette with the seasons, then you absolutely should be, I think.
Yeah, and some of the crafting ideas and the colors and the visuals that come up, even if they aren't necessarily education based, like putting in pink doesn't mean that you're going to be smarter, but it does attract attention this time of year.
Yeah. Another thing that I've noticed, a commonality across a lot of these boards, it was especially noticeable for me in the health and fitness board, which you can go see if you go to the blog. We're just going to go through a few of these boards, but there are more over at the blog. Lots of different categories, all the kind of most popular categories. But one of the things that I noticed there, and I noticed here, like as we go back further and further in time, we started doing this in October. I think you can actually see people getting more sophisticated in how they're pinning. So, for example, there's a lot more text being used and text overlays, and a lot smarter, quicker headlines, I think, than way back at the beginning. Which is interesting. We're getting better at this.
I want to point out here, if we come in, one of the new things that Pinterest has introduced is this tried it. So you can see different people who have tried it.
I think that's a great feature.
Yeah, so instead of just seeing a ton of repins on something and assuming that it's good, Pinterest added that tried it to say, like, oh, that recipe may look great, but it tastes nasty.
Right.
Now you can see real people's opinions about the pins that they pin.
Yeah.
And that's true. It's not true. I think it'll be super true for food and drinks, but it's true for everything on here. And again, that the colors are becoming more and more vibrant. And we've seen that every single month. Whatever the feeling, the theme, the focus is within the month, the education trends tend to mimic that.
Yeah. I also noticed that there was a fair amount of mathematics, in...
Yeah, lots of STEAM. Or I guess that is... STEM? That looks like a different kind of STEM, but the science, technology, engineering, math.
And I'm wondering, I guess because it's we're just really kind of leaning into the difficult things, really sort of getting going at school, basically. Coming out of the break. I wonder if, as we look at it sort of from the beginning to now, from October to now, if we can really effectively chart the school year in things like that. Do you think?
I remember in November or December, there were a number of study tip ideas.
Right.
Around finals, around that time. So maybe we'll see some midterms coming up in the next month or so.
So we've got something interesting here as well. There's 16 things teachers should try in 2016 infographic.
Yes, yeah.
So I found this interesting, right? This was pinned in February, and it was one of the most successful pins, right, in the education. So so there's still time. If you're planning a 2017 version of this, there may still be time to do that and kind of make that work for you.
Or just don't add a date to it. Say this could have been 16 things teachers should try this year.
Right, that would make it evergreen.
Yeah,
it might be sort of better long term. Yeah, but I think that with the date, you might get a better short term sort of hit. Ideally, though, you'd have been putting that out probably at the end of 2016.
Right, and so these are all things that feel like they would be relevant for 2017 too, but people might be turned off by the date. So that's another thing with Pinterest is it is evergreen. You got to be thinking about things 2 months, 2 years in the future.
Right, and we start to see Easter pop its head up as well, right?
Which Easter is one of those complicated times because it changes every year.
Right, true.
So last year it was at the end of March, which is very early. It's usually later. This year it's going to be in, I think, April 16th or sometime in the middle of April.
But this is towards the end of February, or middle to end of February. So we should be starting to think about Easter, pinning for Easter.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cold now. You want to be thinking about spring and the warmth and the baby birds.
And that's because it takes a while, to kind of, for pins to kind of gain virality.
Yeah. I've noticed a few of these rain cloud things, and I'm wondering if it's one of those seasonal tornado here when the seasons are changing. And so now would be a good time to introduce that science lesson to kids.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
so Diane actually asked if we could go through the keywords again.
For DIY?
For DIY, and then I'll go through the keywords for education.
And you can find these on the blog post, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So the keywords for DIY and crafts, which we went over a little bit ago, are Easter, plant, pattern, wreath, organize, mason jar, flower pot, and tutorial. And any sort of variation on those words. For education, again, it's Easter. It's coming up. People are thinking about it. STEM or STEAM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, that sort of mindset. Crafts, grade-specific pins, so first grade, second grade, things like that. And animals. I saw a lot of animals. Penguins, fish, tigers, things like that kids want to pay attention to. Okay, we'll check back over here real fast, see if we have any more questions. I don't think so. Oh, Emily from Tailwind is on it. She is responding, which is awesome. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
Okay, so moving on. Food and drink. Okay. Everyone's favorite category, I think. Especially, I haven't had lunch yet, so this is going to be really painful for me.
Painfully delicious.
Painfully delicious. We'll go back.
So just as we scroll through all of this, just notice all of those words. How many of these successful pins are calling out what they are. I think it's maybe 30-40%. It's a lot. And a lot of bloggers are using that as sort of a branding opportunity.
Definitely.
There's a visual style that they use. So here in the middle, the best chicken detox soup, you can see a spicyperspective.com. And by keeping that branding common throughout his pins, it's you get recognition essentially. Like, oh, I liked their best chicken detox soup recipe.
Right.
I might like this one too.
Yeah, so you can, again, with the tried it, you can go through and see everyone that tried this liked it so far. And they add extra comments to it, which is really great. And I think that's something that people should start encouraging, especially food bloggers, when they pin something, is to please, if you try this, let people know on Pinterest if you added something to it. Say, like, this detox soup was amazing with a little bit of extra parsley. Things like that can really, really be powerful. And we don't know much about tried it yet, but it will probably start to play a part in how pins rank.
Right. That makes sense.
One thing, just color palette, I noticed as I was scrolling, there's a lot of tan. There's a lot of pasta. Just quickly scrolling, you can see it's more pasta. It's more sort of cheese and chicken. Those tan sort of feel good foods are really popular.
Right, and I noticed that we step away from sort of traditional American cuisine a little bit here as well.
That's true.
There seems to be a lot more world cuisines. I think people maybe just kind of getting bored of of the winter foods and starting to sort of think abroad.
They were healthy in January for their resolution, and now it's time to start eating the orange chicken and burritos.
Yeah, well, and this is interesting. Look at this, the carrot oat applesauce treats for dogs and horses. Did you catch that? I thought that was, I didn't expect to see that here. I mean, but, and this is really interesting. There's a couple of times that this has happened this month that I noticed. But somebody has sort of posted something that you would think would go in a different category, right? Should that be in animals? I don't know. And it's not, right? It's here. But this is the more popular category, and it's done really well here. 75,000 pins, but it's not really, I mean, it is food, but it's not food for humans.
And I'm just curious, I'm going to click through to this site. I'm going to guess that this is a site that traditionally focuses on people food. It looks like it.
Right.
So I think this is the right category for them, but they're also diversifying their brand with this. So, not only could it be pinned in the food and drink, it can also be pinned in the animals. Right.
So a lot of those pins, if you put something that can be multi-category, you can see it repinned. People are more likely to have boards for it, basically. There'll be more people who have more boards for it, and it can potentially have a larger reach.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think that it's less true typically in food and drink, but for travel bloggers, which we're going to get to the travel category here in a minute, there's a ton of potential there.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so we're getting into these more cheesy, carby, delightful, the things that I want to eat all the time. The tan. I just was blown away by how tan everything is.
Yeah.
But again, you have these really nice overlays. I love when, I don't know if there's one that's done it here, but I appreciate when people have the process and then, so the cooking process here, and then it plated on the bottom.
Right.
So then you can see
both.
Yeah, you can get an idea of the complexity of the dish and then also see it in the delicious cheesy, or I guess it's not cheesy, but the delicious gravy-ridden amazingness on the plate.
Yeah. So we're also sort of starting to see more greens coming in and more color as the month moves on, I think.
And these close-up pictures, I think those are super powerful because it is a new way to look at food. Apple and cranberry, see those all the time, but you don't always see them cut up and close up like that. I think that's something that food bloggers can really, with a good camera, take advantage of.
There's definitely an advantage to novelty done well.
This meal prep one is really nice. I like how they laid out and used the flat lay. You could see this not only on Pinterest is it going to perform well, it will also do really well on Instagram.
Yeah.
This is one of those images that can go across platforms and look beautiful. But again, you see these text overlays in the middle. That is what seems to work.
Or was seeming to work last year.
Yeah. What was seeming to work last year, but from my extensive research into food pins
it's still
year,
good.
It still seems to be pretty true. And Buddha bowls have been huge this past year. And I think they're continuing to be a trendy thing. So if you're a food blogger, it may be something worth making a couple of pins about.
And that's a real important thing to pull out, I think, which is one of the ways in which we can use this is like how important are trends of the time to what was important last year, and what are the trends this year that we can kind of get on to kind of capitalize on.
Right. And I just want to point out that this cloud bread has been on this board a few times, and there are things that will just continue to pop up and continue to be popular.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's.
And often
so
I've noticed that there's that. Often that might be some of the more simple stuff, some of the more simple pins and simple things. The evergreen stuff, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's one on the home and decor that I'll point out that I've seen multiple times now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great thing. If you're a food blogger and your stuff's getting pinned every single month, you've sort of hit the jackpot. And things like a one skillet chicken, that's going to be popular year-round. Okay, so I'm going to pop back over and see if we have any more questions. Okay, so Stephanie asks, do you know the size that is recommended for the vertical images? I know that the ratio is a minimum of 2:3. So for essentially for every 2 inches on top, you should have 3 inches on the side. And that's just a ratio. It's not actual inches or pixels. What I often use is 600 pixels by 900 pixels, and then just go down from there. If you need more room, take it, but don't go crazy. Like if we come over here, this pen is very long, but it's not making you click to read more. I think clicking to read more is fine if it's an infographic, but for something like this that the pen is just enticing you to click through, you don't necessarily need people to look and pay attention to the pen that deeply.
Right.
Okay.
So hi everybody. There's
hi.
A bunch of kind of friends on here, and hi Patty. Hashtag Tailwind Family. I like that.
Patty's
Alyssa,
one of our biggest
Kim.
fans, I think. Yeah, Kim, thank you. Terrific video on Facebook. We're trying out a new thing, as you can see. We're down in the corner here.
I like that.
Yeah, and so let us know if you like the new things. Yeah, we do have to actually be professional here.
Yeah, I actually have this carrot cake thing sitting right here.
Speaking of food.
I just can't. I can't eat it anymore now because you can all see me. Normally I'd be like.
Oh, we have another Patty. Hi, Patty. Patty 2 and Patty 1. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We love all of this engagement, and keep the questions coming. Okay, so now we're going to go to holidays and events, which this is the board that I made a very controversial, I guess, in my own mind, prediction about that after Christmas it would die, and I was so wrong.
Yeah, you were really wrong. This one is just, I mean, it's for me, in many ways, it's the most interesting board. I mean,
agree.
Seasonally, it's right on seasonally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's always going to be these birthday ideas.
We actually did that very party. We had green streamers just like that for my son Jack Henry's
that's precious.
third birthday party.
And of course, it's from our friend Catch My Party.
Yeah.
I think half the pins on this board are from them. Yeah, so there it is again. So parties, the pink and gold parties were huge last year. I don't know what the the equivalent is this year. I still think it looks nice, so why not go for it? But there are more Valentine's Day things than I was expecting. Because it is closer to the time. You do need to have that stuff done, but it's a holiday and an event that's coming up this month. And it is earlier in the month.
Right, and what that says to me is that it's not too late necessarily. If you're still sitting on some content for Valentine's Day, you can still push it, and you can still get traction on Pinterest.
Yeah,
these people did last
all
year.
right here, all of these. So if you have Valentine content, put it out like today or tomorrow. Put it out quickly, but it can still gain traction. And as we move through the month, I've noticed a big surge in the baby shower, bridal shower, the fun activities that you can do at showers are really popular on this board. And if anyone's ever been to a baby shower or wedding shower, having those fun activities is a must.
Right.
Otherwise, it gets real boring. And so here's another one here. And then as we move further along in the month, we start to see
little bunnies pop up.
Yes. The
What do you guys
bunnies,
call
the
those?
spring.
What are those little?
Oh, the peeps.
Peeps. Yeah, that's right. Peeps.
Just sugar covered in sugar. And this was the only day that the only board that I noticed.
Me too.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
Which is coming up next month, and people, it's surprising that it's only getting any traction here.
Right. You would think travel would be a good spot for it.
That's true. Potentially. I don't know. Do people go to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day?
I have.
Well,
yeah.
It was a lot easier for you.
True.
Yeah, so things are just springier, and paying attention again to what's coming, even though it's cold right now. It won't be forever, I hope. Lots of peeps. Apparently peeps are the thing. Another thing that really stood out to me was the number of rainbows.
Yeah.
Lots of rainbow things.
Some unicorns too.
The colors pop so much more. They're more primary. They're more vibrant than they have been any other month. This is adorable. I just have to say that that's the cutest Baby Bell cheese thing I've ever seen. And yeah, so rainbow colors here, those bright primary colors are really popular, and I think it's because of springtime.
Now, I would say that there's a little bit of a difference here there's a lot of commonalities between food and drink and holiday and events, right? They're often they go in steps somewhat, right? They're often talking about the same things. Yeah. What about that cute bunny butt right there?
That is pretty precious.
Wow. But one of the things that I would point out is the difference between the pins. They look different.
That is very true.
They don't have a lot of those, like, here's the name of the thing, the recipe. Yeah. It's a lot of it is focusing on the thing itself. And now I think that might be in part because there are more contributors to this who don't necessarily have a brand around food, but they've just made they've made a recipe or whatever it might be that is seasonally appropriate. But I might be wrong there. I was wondering sort of what you might think about that.
Yeah, I did notice that there are food items on here, and I think that's, again, talking about the potential to cross-promote. But I think because these pins are performing on this board and not on the other board, people are looking at these food pins more as aesthetic ideas and not as things to potentially make.
I'm not sure if I agree with that.
Oh, we got some controversy.
This may be the first time we've ever disagreed on anything, Melissa.
This is going to ruin everything.
Maybe we should have folks, what do you think? Do you think that, let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree with me or if you agree with Melissa.
Pick the winning team. And oddly enough, here's a Valentine's Day pin at the end of February. So maybe they're just getting super prepared for this year.
Yeah, there's some strange things sometimes.
There are. Okay, so Rachel says you can eat the cake. If you'd like to, you can go ahead and have your...
this cake! In my mind, it's like a million miles away.
I might try to steal it from you, but... And Elisa is asking...
I just feel uncomfortable.
You don't want to have your mouth full.
Right.
That makes sense. Elisa's asking, can you explain how you choose which pins go on these boards? It's a great question.
Yes, you go ahead, and I'm going to give them a little bit of a shove over here.
So we look at our users. We look at our users' pins from last year that were performing, and the ones that were pinned in February that got traction. So these are the pins that took off pretty quickly, I believe.
Yep.
And so we go through and we choose the ones that, you know, have a good aspect ratio, that aren't leading to spammy sites, the ones that are just
links.
good quality pins.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
They're from. Did you say that they're from our members? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is specifically within the Tailwind family.
So we're looking at the data set of you know, there might be 1,000 or 2,000 like high performing pins in any specific category, and then we'll tend to order them by date, and then we say, okay, let's take the ones out which are whatever it might be, like under 3,000 or under 10,000, depending on how big the category is and how popular it is, repins. And then, and then we sort of, as we go through, we take out the commonalities. Yeah. So if we see a lot of plant pots, then we make sure that we put in, you know, a representative number of plant pots in this trends board. And that's kind of how we build it.
Okay. So yeah, please. Elisa says so helpful. Thank you. So, and she also wants some of your cake. All right. Yeah, so please keep those questions coming. If you don't keep asking questions, David will keep
I'm going to just
stuffing his face. So help me out here.
Do you want some? You can. You can eat from the other side. Anyway, you don't want to hear that.
Moving on. Okay. Home decor. You're just talking about this, I feel like. Let's find our January pin here. There we go. Okay. Right off the bat.
Scroll back a little bit though, because I think that there's a huge difference in palette as we go up.
I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, well, so you can kind of see those silvers, those whites. Not a ton of warmth. And now we're actually in February. And we're moving up through February. We're starting to see pops of green. We start to see more like fruit, things like that. Actually, it's not a huge difference, but there's a notable difference.
There is. I think that there's the stark white is still a big trend, and I think it will. You know, there's potential for it to continue to be, but it's stark white with a pop of turquoise there, or the warmth from wood.
Dark wood, yeah.
This one really stood out. It's so different from everything else, but I still think it looks very nice.
And that's that novelty, you know. If you can really create something which is different, I think that you stand a really strong chance.
Right. And then I think we're potentially going to start seeing more outdoorsy pins.
Which we've not seen before because we started in October.
Right.
There's also this...
there's another one.
Yeah. Oh, this is the one in the middle here. 55 cents, organizing for the home. How simple this is. I think I've seen it 3 out of 6 months. Like,
really?
Yeah, it is in the data set, like all the time. This one gets pinned and repinned by various different members. So that's interesting, and it's so simple is what sort of startles me. It's always the simplest pin, and it's always there.
But this 55 cents is very
striking, isn't it? Yeah.
Within a category that can have DIY things that are literally tens of thousands of dollars to do, to see 55 cents, like that's going to grab my attention too. And the makeovers are just so popular on this board, and I feel like they really took off more so this month for some reason. I could just be making that up, but it seems like there's more before and after, more you know, showing how to do things.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. And the cozy outdoor thing, I really, really think that's going to start taking off. And this is silly. The white wood here, I feel like this is one of those trends that this may not be an evergreen pin, even though everything about the pin could be evergreen. There's nothing calling out the time. It's a beautiful image. It's high quality, but that's a trend.
Right. And look at who it's coming from, the HomeDepot.com. That's interesting that the HomeDepot.com, you know, have these before and after. They're building pins, essentially,
Yeah.
is what I think I'm trying to say, deliberately. And I kind of love it when I see brands really mucking in and doing it as well as bloggers. Isn't that funny to say? It should, but they often struggle, honestly.
And oftentimes, I know Home Depot will work with bloggers on their blog to help understand how to reach the people that they want to reach.
Right.
And Home Depots and Lowe's have both been able to build up really strong Pinterest followings because of that.
Right.
So they're doing it right. They are going to the people who know how to talk to their audience and getting that advice and getting these beautiful pins.
You know, one of the things I'm most excited about having Peg on the team for is as a successful blogger who has really made that work. You know, she's been in the trenches and she knows, you know, how to monetize. She knows how to, you know, create relationships with brands. I think she's going to bring a ton of value on that regard to our blog, our Facebook Lives.
I think so.
All of the different content. So I'm really looking forward to learning more from her about that.
Yeah, and she's done that within our category, which is really great.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the more pops of color, and this is an example of one that could go across categories as well, because it's DIY wall art, but that could also go into the art category. It could go into DIY. It could go into a number of different categories and perform well.
Right.
All right. So let's see. Kim says that this board is representing bringing life and color into our homes for spring, and I completely agree. I think that is true. So hopefully, as the months go on, we will continue to have more color and a bit more liveliness put into our homes and into our Pinterest board here. Okay, travel.
Right.
I know we have a number of users and people who watch these that are very interested in the travel trends.
Yeah.
And the thing about travel trends is it's always popular.
How do you mean?
I feel like you could pin a travel pin at any time.
Right. You always want to go on vacation.
Yeah.
Everybody always wants to be on vacation. And there's a world of adventure out there.
Why wouldn't you pin that now or in March or in January?
Right.
That's something that you want to do. The thing that I think sort of potentially could have a bit of seasonality to it is the more beachy destinations.
Which I think we start to see here.
Potentially, yeah.
No, I mean,
as we're going through here.
I started to notice them. But, I mean, you know, as the month moved on.
Yeah. So here's a beach one specifically, which that looks.
It's
sunny.
Interestingly not yet sort of that sunny one though. Next to it, there's the land and sea horse riding at Half Moon Bay. And
it's interesting that this one performs so well because I wouldn't think of it as a traditionally good pen.
Right. Actually, I've been hearing that a little bit.
And
because it's not a long vertical.
Right. But we see more of those pins that do well on this board because it is a beautiful image and people have that travel mentality. And so it's okay that it isn't necessarily fitting the perfect mold of Pinterest because it is something that people want to do and where they want to go.
Yeah.
I also noticed a ton of Europe on here.
Yeah, me too.
More Europe than I feel like we've seen in the past.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Speaking of Scotland, or I guess it was Ireland.
Same.
UK. Yeah, it all runs together.
I'm terribly offended.
Yeah, so there are a couple of swimming with pigs in Bahamas.
Better than dolphins, I hear.
My strong prediction this time will be.
I love these, by the way. I love these predictions. So far, you're.
I'm 0 for 0 so far. 0 for 1. I think that we will start to see more beachy ones, but specifically more local beachy. So Florida, Galveston.
You know, we really haven't seen those.
We haven't seen those.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The less expensive, easier places to get to once people college kids are thinking about spring break, or people are starting to think about family vacations, I think we'll start to see a bit more of that.
I actually also think we're going to start to see more destinations, more, Atlantis, that big resort.
Oh, that's interesting.
Places that,
yeah.
That's what I think too.
Okay, so we'll see. We'll see if we get our predictions right.
Right. But for the sake of drama, I'm going to say I disagree.
We got to make it interesting for you guys. Okay, Elisa says landscape images of landscapes. It makes sense that it would work, and that's a good point.
That is a good point. I also think well, maybe this is. I guess I'm just going to throw this one out there, right? But as people start thinking more about Instagram and start using Instagram more, right? And bearing in mind this is a year ago, it's possible that their content will become squarer.
Sure.
So they'll have these images that they took. They'll have images that they took on Square on their phone, and they'll want to use them. They'll want to pin them too.
Yeah.
And so it may just be that some of those high quality images are becoming squarer. Maybe.
Could be. It could be.
I don't know. We'll see. That's my bold prediction. I think images are going to become squarer.
Well, this time next year, we'll see.
Right. Can hardly wait.
Okay, and rounding out our discussion here is women's fashion, which I'm sure you're.
I'm hot on this. I'm good on this.
Yeah, and the biggest trend that I saw was just bright colors in spring.
Right. Okay, well, that was what I was going to say. So.
These the prints. I feel like every single year, all of the fashion magazines say new for spring. It's florals. What?
Right.
That's what it was last year, and the year
every
before
year.
that, and every single year, it's all about the florals. But I also noticed there were a couple more plus-sized pins, which is great to see. It's great to see that diversification coming into the women's fashion, and that is growing.
Right. I think there's some jewelry in here as well, which we haven't seen a lot of before. It's tended to be clothes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I'm not sure if that's seasonal or just the category evolving a little bit.
And
sort of maybe being injected somewhat by Etsy sellers and things like that.
See, I thought there was a jewelry category, but perhaps I'm crazy. I guess I'm just crazy. But yeah, it's interesting to see more jewelry pop up, but maybe it's because we're pushing up our sleeves, and
that's interesting. Yeah,
you can actually see the jewelry now.
So I hadn't seen a work outfit, like a deliberate work outfit before.
It seems like more of the fashion on this board, and that people are interested in pinning, are the work to play type of looks. So it's the unique streetwear. It is interesting that this is
yeah.
Very
I mean, men's fashion,
classic.
The men's version of that is everywhere in the men's fashion category.
That's very true. Yeah, so I think you're right. I think this is one of the very first traditionally business style suits that we've seen. And I don't know why it would pop up in February.
It's going to pop up sometime, I guess.
It's got to. At some point, people will get professional. Because this is the kind of thing that I've seen for workwear in the past. A little bit more punchy, less traditional. The things that you would wear to Tailwind if you were so inclined to be.
I'd wear that to Tailwind, definitely. I've noticed more of these sort of non-model pins popping up too. Now, let me just make sure there's one. There's a couple of flat lays. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration. There
are more in this month.
Right.
And I think that's a good and a bad thing, because you can see all of the pieces separately, but I like when someone is wearing it, because then you can more easily put yourself into their shoes.
Right. So if you were contributing to this category, would you create both of those pieces of content? Would you have the clothes on a model and the clothes, in lifestyle and not a flat lay? And
I think that could be a really powerful thing for, say I was Lululemon, a fashion brand of some kind. Okay. I would have photos of Your favorite stretchy pants?
Second favorite.
So to have pictures maybe of you in your stretchy pants doing yoga.
It would be really attractive.
And then also have the flat lay of these are the pants and this is the crop top that you're obviously wearing while doing yoga. And that way people can both picture themselves in the moment and also understand exactly what pieces go into that.
In my moment. And
maybe you could even create a one pin out of that.
Yeah.
So have on top the...
Well, that's something that we haven't seen in this category, though.
We haven't.
Is somebody trying that, which is from a pull from that recipe world.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's showing the ingredients and then what it looks like put together.
Yeah. And that's the kind of creativity, for my dollar, for my money, that I think really works. I think if you can be the first to kind of make those creative leaps and pull things together, I think it can pay dividends.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I know we've had a couple of questions come through. Thank you for all the great info. I know you probably get this all the time, but any word on an Android app? And I see a couple of people asking about the Android app, and Emily popped in there, so thank you. But just to reiterate, we know it is a pain point. We know you guys want it. We do have a workaround for Androids, so instead of having the app push a notification to you with the caption and the image, we will send you an SMS message. So you can still use all of the desktop functionality.
Pinterest and Instagram.
Yeah. Well, we won't push the pins to your phone.
Right.
Obviously. But
okay.
Yeah, it works a little differently.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. So specifically for the Instagram app, you can use all desktop functionality and we'll just push an SMS message to you. And if you're using us for Pinterest, then you can still use all the desktop functionality.
Yeah, and just a word on this. Every month or all the time, really, Emily, who's here, sort of in the comments and responding to you folks, she compiles a list of all of the requests that people have made, and it's a spreadsheet basically. So we can see exactly what's most popular, what's been most requested, and we take that very seriously to help guide our roadmap. So just know that when you ask us for things, like, we're listening and we're documenting that, and the whole team is seeing it.
We take it seriously.
But things take time.
Yeah.
And there are only limited resources. Right.
Okay, and Patty asked, did I miss the wedding board? And we did not. We're almost at an hour now, so we had to sort of cut down the boards that we were going through. And this month we decided to skip over the wedding because we've covered it in the past few months.
But where can you find it?
But you can find the wedding board with all of the keywords on the blog, which I think I skipped over the keywords on some of these. But all the keywords are on the blog, so even though Well,
let's do the keywords for women's fashion.
Okay, I can do that at least. So the keywords for women's fashion are floral, plus size, casual, workwear, ripped jeans. There were a lot of ripped jeans in here. And summer or spring. Those the seasonal trends.
Right. So we'll share. Oh, you can get to that blog from
the post itself.
From the post itself, the video.
Just look up.
Just look up at the ceiling. Click through and you can go see all of these different, it's 11 categories that we actually have, and we've only gone through 7 here. So there's lots more. And you can actually click through. These are boards that we maintain on Pinterest. You can go and look at all of this for yourself.
You can repin it.
If you so choose.
Since it worked last year, why not?
Right. Yeah, can't do any harm.
And we talked too much, so if we went through every single one of these, it would be 3 hours or so.
Right.
So that's, I'm sorry we didn't cover one that you were interested in, but hey, maybe next month. And you can find that information there. All right. I think that's it. I know lots of...
Another thing that I would drop in is, if you're interested in this content, you're probably also interested in our Pinterest calendar.
Yes.
And we'll drop a link to that in here. And you just give us your email, and it's a printable calendar that Melissa put together. Maybe talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it has the things that are trending within that month, and then things to keep in mind for going forward, and then things that you should go ahead and just promote to get it in front of people at the right time. So it helps you understand the seasonal trends and what you should be focusing on and pinning and promoting throughout the year.
And hello, I'm the British Peg. Where can you see me soon?
You can see Peg soon, or you can see you soon.
Me, yes. Peg,
Yes.
the British Peg.
Yes. You can see the regular Peg on our Instagram Live and on our Instagram story. She's taking over for the rest of the day. So go to at Tailwind App, APP, on Instagram and have a chat with non-British Peg.
Cool,
there.
blimey, Governor.
That's how Americans do British accents. So let's challenge you. I challenge you, Peg, to do a British accent today on your Instagram Live.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and I'm going to be listening. And it's probably going to sound like that. That's my prediction.
Welcome to the team. We're forcing you to do accents.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be live again next month for what's working or what to pin in March.
Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, we'll be live again talking about Instagram and other stuff.
So we will see you here again soon.
Looking forward to it.
Bye.
Goodbye.